too low. He could have been at the 1 right now. Not a big difference, I guess. Seriously.
If you did not know who that was Kolento. Not only was Kolento a fantastic streamer, but he was mostly known for how great he was at the game, especially in the tournament scene. Kolento also had a fantastic YouTube channel and Twitch stream, but he kind of disappeared like Firebat. And I bet you're wondering what happened to Kolento. Before Kolento got into Hearthstone, he was actually a competitive player for World of Tanks, but decided that World of Tanks was not for him because it was a team-based esport and he felt like he would do better in a solo-based esport. So when he was looking around for a new game to play, he saw Hearthstone, absolutely loved the idea of it, and you know, he just kind of had a natural talent to be extremely good at the game. Once he learned that he was actually good at the game and got a pretty great rank on ladder, he decided he was going to start playing competitively and start looking for teams in esports. And it didn't take long for Kolento to find a team, as Cloud9, a very popular esports organization, signed him up pretty quickly as they could see the talent that Kolento had. Kolento really showcased how good he was at the game because he won his very first tournament and also won the first DreamHack for Hearthstone in 2014.
I usually believe in second chances, but not against this. I mean, Kolento has absolutely had his way.
Bro.
Yeah, I love it. By the light.
Stomp in this game 1.
Kolento was an extremely good player and was invited to a bunch of tournaments, but he really showcased how good he was on stream when he would really focus on his plays and hit really high ranks consistently. And you might think that Kolento was a little bit of a boring streamer compared to some, but Kolento had his own charm, especially when you got these little reactions from him when he did something great or something ridiculous happened to him.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
Your turn to bleed.
It's a bit overkill.
Kolento continued to keep competing in tournaments, and even when Hearthstone Grandmasters came out, he decided that he was going to be a part of it as well and fight for his chance to be a Grandmaster for as long as possible. And I think during Hearthstone Grandmasters is when Kolento actually really shined as a person, because there are some fantastic interviews with him.
So Kolento, what is your happiest Hearthstone memory?
Probably Y-Game House Cup, I guess.
Great, I'm presuming you won that?
Of course.
Eventually though, Kolento did end up getting relegated in the first season of Grandmasters in 2020.
Oh, Raven, Kolento is gone.
Oh, the wave there from Kolento.
And he did release a tweet longer kind of explaining his thoughts on what happened. And the main summary that I can understand from this is that he really didn't like the way that Grandmasters was scheduled and didn't like the fact that it was so routine based rather than just random tournaments here and there. But the last little bit of this paragraph really speaks on where Kolento was headed after getting relegated, which said, "Hope my successor will appreciate the honor of being in GM more than I did, no matter how long it will last. Let's see if a newly acquired freedom will bring back the immense joy I was having while playing Hearthstone, or is it time for me to find something else to do?" And the last little bit of that paragraph really speaks volumes on what Kolento was feeling when he got relegated from Hearthstone Grandmasters. When asked in a previous interview what was his favorite Hearthstone expansion, he said probably the first one, Curse of Naxxramas. And that kind of speaks a lot when it comes to how Kolento was feeling about the game, because compared to Curse of Naxxramas and now, the game is completely different. On top of that, his favorite class was Priest, and Priest was trained drastically compared to what it was back in the days of Curse of Naxxramas in Classic. So imagine you're in Kolento's shoes, just getting relegated from the Premier League in Hearthstone esports, and you're not really liking the game. What would you do if you were him? Regardless of how Kolento felt about Hearthstone at the time, he continued to do content creation on his YouTube channel and streamed a bit on Twitch here and there. But unlike other streamers that were able to really mask their feelings towards Hearthstone, you could tell Kolento was just not enjoying the game at all.
Job's done.
Looks more and more like a scam MMORPG than a card game.
When he was trying to do content creation, the last expansion that came out before he stopped was Scholarmans Academy, which really drastically increased the power level of the whole game. And as you could probably imagine, Kolento was probably enjoying the game the least he's ever had before, because again, this is so much different than the game used to be. I should also mention that Kolento did end up trying Hearthstone Battlegrounds, but it didn't seem like he was an absolute huge fan of the game mode, even though Kolento was actually extremely good at Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Kolento was also someone who liked to build his own decks to try out on standard, but with the power level of the game, it was getting harder and harder for him to actually do this. On August 21st, 2020, we saw the last video Kolento uploaded on his YouTube channel, and he also uploaded his last stream he did on YouTube, which was on November 17th, 2020. And just like Firebat, we didn't really get to say goodbye or anything. It feels like Kolento kind of just dropped off the face of the earth, but it seems like Kolento has found a different game that he wants to play rather than Hearthstone. There is an old game called Heroes of Might and Magic that was released on March 3rd, 1999 that still has a really good community and a huge multiplayer ranking system. And apparently Kolento has been playing that game quite a bit and is also one of the best players currently in the game mode, as his MMR in the game is extremely high up. Now, unfortunately, I cannot confirm that Kolento is playing this game, as there is no confirmation from him and there's no way that I can verify this without personally messaging him. But on his Twitter account, his DMs are not open, so unfortunately I cannot do that. Speaking of Twitter though, Kolento semi-frequently posts on it, with his most latest tweet being on January 19th, 2021. But unfortunately, that's really all I can give you. I asked a couple of pros in the Hearthstone scene, and the general consensus seemed to be that because the cost of living for him was so low, he decided not to compete and use his earnings as basically just his way to pay rent. But I think Kolento's stories really speaks to how much Hearthstone has changed over the past 8 years, and it's kind of sad to think that a lot of these older players just don't enjoy the game nearly as much. And I'm really sorry if this answer wasn't satisfying enough for the people who really want to know where Kolento is. This is why this video took so long to make, is because I really tried to figure out where Kolento was. I just couldn't find him. Anyways, I hope you ended up enjoying it, and if you did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscription. And as always, you look fantastic. I'll see you in the next one.